thanks so much. I'm here with Crystal Brust, PA, one of our amazing clinicians on Vibrant. And Crystal also teaches other clinicians and helps onboard clinicians on how to use Vibrant. Tell us more
That's
about
great.
who you are and what you've built with your practice.
Thank you, Sunita. Honored to be here. So, I would like to tell you a little bit about how Vibrant has changed the course of my practice and really the empowerment that it's given me overall. First, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So, I've been a PA for about 15 years. Been a surgical PA on and off. Started studying functional medicine, like most of us, from a personal health issue. Really did a deep dive, became certified with IFM, and it was in an IFM conference that I actually came across Sunita and Pedro, and really started that journey of what it would look like if I opened my own practice and had my own voice as a provider. I've been with Sunita and Pedro in the Vibrant practice since probably January, but really started practicing in March, where I started onboarding my own patients. So my practice was brand new. I'm up to about 40 patients at this point in a membership basis, and I'm all virtual. So I'm the only provider. I don't have any assistants at this point, and I'll tell you how that's possible with the Vibrant practice. So when I'm in Vibrant practice, the whole EMR, what it offers me is a living, breathing interaction with my patient information. I'll start a patient off with a new practice orientation. It's usually about an hour and a half with extensive communication between me and the patient. It's all AI scribed. So with my previous practice, I would sit in a clinic setting with my patient and take notes and also be documenting at the same time, which unfortunately takes away from that therapeutic partnership that you are supposed to develop with your functional client. I still had to document multiple things over the course of that time and didn't always feel like I was giving the proper voice to my patient in that time to really commit our relationship. With Vibrant, I barely touch anything. I know the AI scribe is taking all of my information. It will kind of cut out the anecdotal things that we have in our conversations that we use to develop that relationship, but it takes everything and it builds it into a SOAP note. So it takes all the pertinent clinical information, not only from my verbal interaction with the patient, but also from all of the initial forms that were filled out from my patient ahead of time. AI is going to incorporate all of that information into my actual note. So I have this super note that AI is building, and when I'm done, I just hit AI scribe and it's all built together. I'm able to edit that. I can add whatever AI tools that I've built called chartboards. So I've built meal plans and HSA letters, gone over extensive lab reviews with these patients, and everything is built into that note that I consider a living, breathing entity because it's something that I can communicate back and forth with. At my other practice, it was very linear. It was, I can document that. It is set in stone. It is each separate visit that I have to go back and review. Now with AI, I basically can review everything that I've done with that patient, updated protocols, changes in labs, new extensive lab evaluations like Dutch, GI effects. AI is able to queue all of that information and have it at my fingertips in a real-time visit. So it really makes me kind of this superhero in a way that I have access to all the information. And the big difference with Vibrant than with other practices or other EMRs is that it's not just chat GPT AI, it's built into my patient. So that's where I really feel that it marries that intention of functional medicine is because it's patient-based. It is specific to my patient with their labs, their lifestyle, their timeline, their history. Everything that we built in this relationship and partnership in functional medicine is accessible now with AI. So it's a ton of information that used to take me literally hours to go through with each patient in my own clinic, and I do that within 5 minutes.
Wow.
It's really changed my time, and probably the biggest takeaway is that I don't think I could live without Vibrant at this point because it brings me so much more job satisfaction than I did at my other clinic. I knew that I would be going home with my family. I'd still have 45 minutes worth of documentation to do, and even in that documentation, it's nowhere near as thorough as I'm able to do with Vibrant using AI. So I'm able to build patient charts, really be able to express that complex interpretation of labs and studies and be able to make that readable and understandable for my patient using AI. And I can copy and paste all of this information into their chart. Then it's a living, breathing entity that comes up in their application on their phones where they can actually see in real time what we're working on, what their health goals are, how is it changing. And AI actually builds all of that in from a very patient-specific scenario.
I want to ask just a little bit more on what other things did you consider or would you consider as you're thinking about powering your practice?
Yeah, absolutely. The difference is it's the support that AI brings, especially being a solo practitioner. It includes follow-up and it includes a comprehensive overview of so much complex information that one human can't really digest that. And it really makes me feel so confident as a provider, and especially as a single provider, that I know I'm going to be able to do a deep dive and thorough review of all of their information. They often bring to me 4 years worth of labs or imaging, all of that stuff that I would have to manually go over ahead of time, or manually go over their intake forms and really not truly get a good gist or good overview of that information the way I do with AI. When I'm able to queue that information with AI, it summarizes the information and really helps me create a targeted plan for each patient in a way that I was never able to do before. And I've trialed other platforms. I'm just walking through comparing what that looks like. And there's great applications, but when it came to especially the AI, didn't compare. There was no way that I could go back to a situation that was more of a chat GPT, a basic overview to answer functional medicine questions, but not for my patient. My patient is a very unique individual. Their labs are unique. Their experience is unique. And what AI does is it brings all of that information and makes it very personal, and my patients see it in my communication with them.
Awesome. You made a really interesting comment to me like a few weeks ago about where you think the practice of medicine like yours is going in terms of doctors and the need to use AI. So tell me a little bit about what you're seeing and what you feel like you're kind of seeing on the front lines.
Absolutely. I think it comes a lot down to relationships, and it's really what our healthcare system is really lacking at this moment is a true connection and understanding and making your patient feel heard. And AI brings that into my patient relationship because I'm able to truly understand all of that information and understand and digest that and be able to reiterate that to my patient in an eloquent manner using AI. I will actually type out questions in AI as I'm communicating with my patient so that I have the best information at my fingertips, and then I can communicate that best to the patient. Where before I may have to go look up some of that information that wasn't readily available to me at the moment, and it just creates that relationship of trust and understanding that I've developed with each of the patient. As far as the future, like I said, at this point, I don't know that I could go back to a traditional medical record system. It's clunky and it's just non-comprehensive, and I really feel like this has absolutely made me this superhero of a provider to have this information. But not only that, the organization and the way that I'm able to present information, that's going to be sought for patients. Patients are going to be seeking that in the future. AI is growing exponentially, like we all know. And I even go back into, I still work for a large hospital system, and I go back into my medical record going, how are we not using this? How are we missing this right now? And I'm going to my supervisor saying, if we're not using AI to analyze and really organize this information, we are missing the boat at this point.
That's fascinating. And so I think it's really interesting because you have this lens of you are practicing functional medicine in your own practice, but you also practice in a large system. And so how would you describe the differences, if any? I mean, does it feel like what we've built with Vibrant actually can work in most primary care settings? Like, is there something that how do you think about that?
Excellent point. And it was kind of a light bulb last week, honestly, when I was working in this hospital system. I'm working with a patient and I feel this longing because I don't have AI working with me, and it just made me feel like I'm not being a comprehensive provider at this point without it. If I can't take this patient's information, and if I'm kind of scrolling through trying to find each study or each lab, and I can't interact with AI to give this patient the best information that is available, it's just obsolete in my opinion. And like I said, I don't know that I would be able to go. I definitely wouldn't be able to do functional medicine, I think, or at least have the joy in functional medicine. The joy is back in functional medicine for me because I'm able to not spend all of my time going into these deep dives with some of these tests where I can depend on AI to help me read some of these things so that then I can work on what's really meaningful, which is the translation to my patient. So I understand these tests, I read through them, I can analyze them, but if I have that support, then I can really create that partnership where my patient feels heard. And that I feel like is the biggest missing point, which a lot of providers don't realize. That's what AI brings into the system, is actually a connection and an understanding where we have more time to build that with our patients, which I think is a critical part.
Sort of getting to the answers faster, getting to information faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that makes sense.
I feel like the information is no longer this void that I have to wade through. It's right there in my fingertips. And it's not just general information, it's my patient information.
Yeah,
it's
that makes sense.
I'm ordering, and it's not just these silos of tests. It's then we're incorporating all of that into one patient interaction where they're taking all of my labs, my GI tests, my Dutch tests, and how that all fits together for this patient's best.
Awesome. That's super helpful. Yeah. And so if I kind of, for people who are less familiar with kind of what exactly the difference around functional medicine might be or workflows, I think one of the biggest differences is that you're just using a lot more data in terms of the picture that you're creating, right? So Dutch test is around hormones, the GI test around gut health, and these are often, one, not reimbursed, but two, take a lot of time to process and to work through, right? And so it's a very onerous, it's a lot of time that gets added up in your workflow as a clinician. And so in your practice, you mentioned you feel like you're saving like a couple hours per patient, or how would you think about the time savings that you're
per patient, at least 45 minutes per patient, but it's really the documentation on the back end. And it's really not even about the documentation. It's really about how much more time I'm able to spend developing that relationship and then explaining those results to the patient versus spending so much of my personal time doing a deep dive of interpretation through everything. I get to focus more on the patient plan and then have AI help me develop that patient plan and be able to explain that to them in a patient understandable way. I think one of the barriers for functional medicine providers is reimbursement and time. And the fact that I'm able to do so much of this, I can build HSA letters. I can build those in Vibrant. I can bring in all of my patient information and make each of these referrals that I'm sending to other providers or letters to other doctors explaining peptides. I'm able to build all of that in Vibrant and at the same time bring in personal patient information along with ICD-10 codes and everything into that patient. That would have taken at least one MA, probably 45 minutes of their time, and then the time that it would take to get that information to the other provider. And I do that in minutes.
That's amazing.
And it's more comprehensive than it was before. So it's saving me as a provider all of that back time, but also making it more cost effective for myself because I don't have 3 MAs that I have to rely on to get all this information done. It's all done within Vibrant.
Amazing. Well, so great that we are able to help you grow and help you focus on delivering great care. So really grateful for our partnership and thank you for sharing your experience today.
As am I. Thank you so much for the opportunity.